the man who could outwork, outshine, and outlast anyone in Hollywood. But when he stepped onto the red carpet at the 2025 Venice Film Festival, the world stopped. Cameras flashed, fans gasped, and whispers filled the air. The Rock, the man known for his mountain-sized muscles, looked smaller, much smaller. His arms, once like iron pillars, had thinned. His chest, once sculpted like a statue, now looked soft. Something was off. Something was wrong. In that moment, the myth of invincibility began to crack. What fans saw that night wasn't just weight loss. It was a revelation. A silent confession that the image they had worshipped for decades might have been built on illusion. And as the pictures spread across the internet, a question echoed louder than ever before. What happened to The Rock? The Venice Film Festival red carpet had seen its share of dramatic moments, but none like this. As The Rock walked in, his smile remained, but his body told a different story. Gone were the boulder shoulders and thick, veined forearms. He looked human again, almost fragile. Photographers shouted his name, but their voices carried a different tone, not admiration, but confusion. Every camera captured a version of The Rock that didn't fit the legend. For over 20 years, his identity had been carved from muscle and sweat. Every movie, every endorsement, every motivational speech depended on that image of the hardest worker in the room. Yet, within months, it vanished. Rumors spread like wildfire. Was he sick? Was it for a movie role? Or was there something deeper, something he could no longer hide? Fans flooded social media with side-by-side photos, comparing the old and new Rock. Some defended him, others accused him, but everyone agreed. This wasn't just a physical change. It was symbolic. The fall of a modern-day superhero, caught between the myth he sold and the truth finally catching up. Long before Hollywood, The Rock was a god among men in the WWE ring. In the late 1990s, he was the man every fan wanted to be. He spoke like a champion, looked like a comic book hero, and carried himself as if failure didn't exist. His muscles weren't just for show, they were his identity. Every flex, every raised eyebrow was a statement. This is what hard work looks like. When he moved into Hollywood, that same persona followed. The world believed it. The Rock wasn't just acting. He was living proof that discipline could make anyone unstoppable. He told fans he ate 8,000 calories a day, trained at 4 a.m., and did it all without shortcuts. His words became gospel. People framed his quotes on gym walls, tattooed his slogans on their arms, and believed they could become like him if they just worked harder. But now, watching him shrink before their eyes, people began questioning everything. Was the legend real, or was it manufactured? A Hollywood illusion dressed in protein shakes and movie lights? That question haunted fans who once saw him as the ultimate role model. It didn't take long before the whispers turned into accusations. Experts in the fitness world began speaking up. Coach Greg Doucette examined The Rock's photos and said it outright. This wasn't weight loss from diet or age. This looked like someone coming off performance-enhancing drugs. Derek from More Plates, More Dates agreed, claiming the transformation mirrored every sign of steroid withdrawal. Even Joe Rogan, one of the biggest voices in media, weighed in, saying, "There's no way The Rock was clean. No chance." Those words echoed across social platforms like a verdict. Fans who once defended him went silent. The Rock had always sworn he was natural. But when his body suddenly deflated, that story no longer held weight. Clips resurfaced of him laughing off questions about steroids, brushing them aside with charm and confidence. But now, every smile looked forced, every denial rehearsed. The internet began piecing together his old interviews, catching subtle slips, contradictions, and nervous jokes. The truth had been hiding in plain sight, and now his own body had testified against him. Understand the fall. You have to understand what was at stake. The Rock's body wasn't just muscle, it was marketing. It sold tickets, gym memberships, supplements, and dreams. His brand revolved around being larger than life. He wasn't an actor. He was a brand, a walking billboard for the idea that pure willpower could defy biology. Every post, every cheat meal, every training clip was carefully crafted. The pancakes, the 4 a.m. workouts, the endless motivational speeches, all designed to sell the illusion. He wasn't just selling a physique. He was selling hope, and people bought it. Millions believed that if they followed his grind, they could become their own version of The Rock. But when the illusion cracked, it all came crashing down. The motivational giant suddenly looked like just another celebrity pretending to be authentic. And that's the moment fans realized something painful. The Rock wasn't the people's champion anymore. He was Hollywood's champion. And the people had just been the audience to his greatest performance. The AS photos from Venice flooded every platform. The comment sections turned brutal. He looks normal now. So, this is what happens when the juice runs out. Guess hard work finally took a vacation. For years, fans had defended him from critics. But now, the tide shifted. The same people who worshipped his grind now mocked it. The transformation became a meme. Hashtags like #FakeRock and #SteroidJohnson trended for days. Fitness influencers dissected his body like forensic scientists, breaking down the exact muscles he'd lost and how fast it happened behind the screens. It felt like the internet had declared war on one of its oldest heroes. The Rock's silence only fueled the fire. He didn't address the rumors. He didn't explain, and that silence spoke louder than words. To his fans, it felt like an admission. To Hollywood, it looked like vulnerability. By the end of that week, the man who once stood as a symbol of power had become a symbol of doubt. The myth had fallen, and the internet was dancing on the ruins. But that was just the beginning. Because what came next wasn't just about muscle loss. It was about money, ego, and the truth behind Hollywood's biggest lie. When the fires of Maui turned paradise into ashes, the world expected heroes to step up. And when The Rock appeared alongside Oprah Winfrey, it looked like the moment he would prove he was still one of them. The man of the people, the champion who never forgot his roots. Cameras rolled as he smiled, his voice calm and steady, promising hope and rebuilding. But the internet saw something different. The two billionaires asked the public, the working class people who had already lost everything, to donate their money. Not millions from their own accounts, but dollars from the same fans who had kept them rich for decades. Within hours, outrage erupted. Comment sections filled with fury. People said, "How can a man worth hundreds of millions ask us to pay for his charity?" For the first time, The Rock's motivational tone felt hollow. He eventually apologized, his voice heavy with guilt, admitting the message was miscommunicated. But the damage was done. The people who once called him authentic now saw him as out of touch. Another Hollywood billionaire who preached gratitude while living in mansions. The same fans who used to defend him started saying it openly. The Rock was not one of us anymore. That moment didn't just tarnish his image. It broke the trust. The foundation of his entire brand, built on connection, empathy, and being real, started to crumble. And when trust is gone, no amount of muscle can rebuild it. Then came the movie that was supposed to redefine his career, Black Adam. The Rock promised fans it would change the hierarchy of power in the DC universe forever. He called it his passion project, his destiny, his legacy. But when the film finally hit theaters, the power shifted, just not in the way he hoped. Critics called it lifeless. Fans called it ego-driven. The box office numbers told the real story, disappointment. But the real blow came after the truth leaked. Insiders claimed The Rock had manipulated box office data, inflated earnings, and even tried to rebuild the entire DC universe around himself. He forced Henry Cavill's Superman return, only for the plan to collapse when new leadership took over at DC. What was supposed to be his victory lap turned into public humiliation. The same fans who once saw him as unstoppable now saw desperation. Hollywood insiders whispered about his ego, saying he had tried to make himself the center of every universe. Even if it meant burning bridges along the way. In interviews, his tone shifted. Gone was the playful charm. In its place was a forced confidence, a man trying to hold on to a crown slipping through his fingers. Black Adam wasn't just a box office failure. It was a mirror, reflecting a truth he could no longer hide. The Rock was no longer on top. When the world of movies started turning its back on him, The Rock did what everyone expected. He returned home to where it all began, the wrestling ring. The crowd roared when his music hit. The familiar electrifying energy filled the arena, and for a brief moment, it felt like old times. The legend had returned, but this time, something was different. The cheers turned to boos. The audience that once adored him now saw him as an intruder. They accused him of stealing the spotlight from younger stars. The hashtag Cody deserves better flooded social media. Fans demanded that the new generation of wrestlers get their chance instead of watching The Rock rewrite the story to center around himself. Behind the scenes, reports surfaced that he had taken creative control, forcing scripts and outcomes that made him the star again. What was meant to be a nostalgic comeback turned into another scandal, another symbol of ego. The fans saw it clearly now. The Rock was not returning to give back to wrestling. He was returning to feed the spotlight he could no longer get from Hollywood. For the first time, his own fans booed the man who once stood for everything they loved. The sound of those boos echoed louder than any roar he had ever heard. Why now? The internet had pieced together a chilling picture. Fitness experts, fans, and even former collaborators began comparing him to Liver King, another man who sold lies of discipline while secretly relying on chemistry. The once inspiring message of hard work pays off now sounded like a script. The truth became undeniable. The Rock's superhuman image had been artificially enhanced, sustained by more than just motivation. And once the secret surfaced, fans felt betrayed. Not because he used steroids, but because he lied. The Rock's entire empire, built on trust and authenticity, was collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions. Old clips of him talking about clean eating and grinding harder than anyone resurfaced, but now they sounded hollow. The internet turned every word into a punchline. 8,000 calories of what exactly? One user commented. Honesty must have been on cheat day, said another. The man who once inspired millions had become a meme, and not the kind that made people laugh with admiration. It was mockery. The symbol of dedication had turned into the symbol of deceit. And then came the final blow, not from a scandal, not from Hollywood, but from the mirror itself. That new, smaller frame, the softened features, the missing veins, it became more than a physical change. It became a metaphor. The muscle loss symbolized the collapse of everything The Rock had built. He did not just lose weight. He lost trust. He lost respect. He lost the illusion that made people believe he was superhuman. Fans who once screamed his name now watched with quiet disappointment. The myth had died, and all that remained was the man behind it. Vulnerable, exposed, and ordinary, The Rock's story was no longer one of triumph. It had become a cautionary tale, a reminder that fame built on illusion cannot last forever. The truth always wins, even when it arrives in silence, even when it shows up disguised as weight loss. For decades, The Rock was a symbol of perfection. But perfection, once cracked, never heals the same. And now, as his empire trembles, one question remains. When your entire life is built on an image, what happens when that image fades? Because in the end, The Rock did not just lose muscle. He lost the one thing that cannot be rebuilt in a gym: credibility.